So I have this gorgeous Kahala vintage souvenir dress, and I really want to make it so that I can wear it. So I'm going to replace the shirring on the side where the elastic is worn out, and I'm going to reinforce the straps as well as mend some minor tears so I can have this piece be wearable. One of the interesting things about vintage clothes is seeing what other repairs someone made. Someone else tried to save the elastic by putting their own on, and they also, it looks like, took up the waist quite a bit to make the torso shorter. They also replaced the buttons for the straps and they don't match, so I'm going to put new matching buttons on. So I've already reinforced the front of the straps and I unpicked the elastic and the buttons, so now I'm going to repair any worn areas like that. So I'm normally not the best at this invisible type of repair, but that's what mine looks like. I'm going to have to make a part 2. I'll post it at the same time so you don't have to wait for it though. It took me quite a while, but I took all of the shirring elastic out of these side panels and it left behind these top stitches that they used as a guideline and this pile of worn out elastic. I'm going to do the shirring using this color of thread because I don't have a thread that matches this one quite closely enough. So replacing the shirring made the side panel go from this to this. It's much smaller. I'm gonna need to do the same repair the other person did where I put a stronger elastic along the top because it's thicker there and it's bunching up weird. So all the shirring's been replaced now and I've got the heavier elastic along the top of these, and the last thing left to do is to put on these new buttons where the straps attach to the dress. Okay, buttons on. Now I'm just gonna give it a press and see how it fits. So I've been collecting the scraps from cotton that I work with for a while now, and I think I finally have enough to make a tailor's ham. This is basically going to be a really stiff, heat-resistant cushion that you can use to help press out curves so they don't lose their shape when you press them. So I cut 2 copies of my pattern out of this muslin fabric. Now I'm going to go stitch up the darts and make sure those seams are really reinforced because this is going to be under a lot of stress. So I sewed up and pressed my darts, and now I have my 2 halves pinned together, and I'm going to leave a gap right here so I can turn it and stuff it. So this is all sewn and turned. I left a gap here, and now I'm going to take my scissors and cut all this up really small so I can cram this cushion absolutely full. So I stuffed it until I could not fit a single piece more, and then I stitched up the side. It's kind of ugly because you can see pieces of the fabric through, but this will work perfectly fine. It took all the scraps except that one. So the way you use a tailor's ham is basically like a miniature curved ironing board. You have a pattern piece that's got some kind of curve to it that makes it difficult to press flat on an ironing board, and you pull it against the tailor's ham and let the curve of the tailor's ham fill out that empty space, and then you press it against the tailor's ham, and it'll give you a much nicer curved seam finish than pressing it flat against an ironing board would. There are different areas on your tailor's ham that'll end up being smaller or larger than other areas, but overall it should just make it easier to press curves, and it should give curves a much nicer finish when they're done. This curve for this mask that I'm making is a little bit small, but it works really well with a bust curve or the curve in a fitted skirt or something like that. And you can find smaller ones or ones called tailor sausages, which are longer and skinnier that are for pressing sleeves and stuff like that.